What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today I want to talk about the Social Security Fairness Act and why we need to be contacting our senators. I'm going to show you the calendar, and this is going to be pretty shocking. And then we're going to go over some of the things that the Senate needs to vote on before December 20th. And I'll explain to you why December 20th is important. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. And so looking at the calendar, we're starting in November here. Now, what I want to show you here is the purple means that you have both the House and the Senate in session. The red means that you have just the Senate in session. And then the blue means you have just the House in session. And so in November and December, we don't have just the House in session. We have both either both chambers in session or just the Senate in session. So let's take a look. We are coming on to the 25th. So this is the week of the 25th. Guess what? Congress will be on recess all week, and that is for Thanksgiving. And so they won't be working, which means that they can't pass legislation. All right. I say they won't be working. They'll be back in their home districts, but they can't vote on legislation. Okay, so let's move into December. And so now we're in the crunch time. Now we're in a situation where they need to pass these bills. And I'll show you the bills that they need to pass by December 20th. So we have that first week, we have the Senate in session, just the Senate on that first day there on Monday. And then we have both chambers in session for the rest of the week. And then the week of the 9th, we have both chambers in session until the 12th, and then we have the Senate in session on the 13th. And then the week of the 16th, we have both chambers in session through the 19th, and then we have the Senate in session on the 20th. Now, the 20th, this is the final day of the congressional calendar. And so that means they won't be returning until after the new year, which would be the new Congress coming in. And so it's imperative that everything gets done by the 20th. And they are waiting till the last minute on this. My hope is just to have the debate, because they're going to want to open up some of this to debate. And so just to have the debate, it's probably going to take at least a week. It could even take 2 weeks. And so the Social Security Fairness Act, they need to start addressing this now. And if they don't address it now, then it could possibly not pass before the end of the year. Now, I'm not sure if they're talking about doing some big omnibus bill where they put everything together and they just vote on it all together. That is problematic because you're going to have some senators that might support the Social Security Fairness Act but might not support some of the other legislation. And so if you put it all in one, now you're looking at a real possibility of it not passing, the Social Security Fairness Act not passing, because they tied it in with other things. So it would be nice if they just did this bill separate and then address some of the other issues. Now, let's talk about some of the other issues, because they're big issues that we need to look at. So when it comes to the Senate, and this is the Senate to-do list. Now, this is in no particular order, okay? I just put this on here just to show you some of the things that they need to address. December 20th deadline for the annual appropriations. Okay, so they need to set the budget for 2025. They should have done this back in September, but they decided to kick the can down the road and extend it until December. And so now we're looking at a situation where December 20th, that's the deadline date for the appropriations. So we'll have to see what they do. And basically, we're talking about the budget for 2025. So that's one. Disaster relief. For the hurricanes, the recent hurricanes, they need to address this as well. When it comes to extending telehealth, Medicaid cuts, and Medicare payment policies, so that's something else that they're going to be addressing. And number 4 here, approving key bills, including a new farm bill and ACA subsidy extensions. And then number 5 here, addressing the $1.7 trillion statutory pay-go cuts for 2025. And then we have here, repeal weapon GPO provisions, and this is the Social Security Fairness Act. So these are these 6 things that they need to do, and they only have, realistically, 2 weeks to do it in. Okay, let's see. I want to show you some of the funding, too, because I want to show you some of the different amounts, and I picked this up from the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget. And if we look at some of these, you see that some of these they're going to be pretty costly. Disaster relief, we're talking about $100 billion, up to $100 billion. Canceling Medicaid and DHS payment reductions, $8 billion. And this additional Medicare physician payments bonuses up to $3 billion. Medicare telehealth extension 2 years, $4.5 billion. Other health extenders, $8 billion, or up to $8 billion. Repeal weapon GPO. So here we go, $196 billion. I wish they would have done this by year, because this is very misleading. Because when you're looking at everything on here, with exception to this pay-go requirement cuts of $2 billion, and it's non-scorable, they're saying, when we're looking at weapon GPO, we say $196 billion. That's a lot. Maybe we should be addressing some of these other smaller items and not address something that costs so much. But that's over 10 years, and they're not saying that it's over 10 years. And so that's something that I think is important to know. This is a 10-year span that we're talking about here. Okay, so in moving forward, you have the House Agriculture Committee, the Farm Bill here, $28 billion, additional aid to Ukraine. That's a question mark there. Expanded HCA subsidies. Extension 1 year, $23 billion there. Tax cuts in the Wyden-Smith deal, that's $79 billion. Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, $50 to $60 billion. Medicare coverage and anti-obesity medication, 10 years. See how they did that 10 years there? 2 to 36 billion. And then the pay-go that we talked about there, that is $20 billion. And so you see the Senate will be very busy. So the hope is that they'll be able to pass these bills. And I'm afraid of the omnibus bill. I'm afraid of them putting everything in one basket. Because if they do something like that, then the Social Security Fairness Act might not survive that. And so the hope is they'll pass this separate. They won't just put this together in just one big bill. I do want to address a question in the comments that I'm seeing. And I posted a video a few days ago where I was talking about the difference between weapon GPO, and there are a few people that were saying, well, if you don't pay into Social Security, you're not entitled to any benefits. Well, that's not exactly correct, because if you have someone, and I didn't use this example in that video, but I used it in an example of in another video, but let's say you're in a situation where you're working, but your spouse is staying at home. They don't pay into Social Security. However, they are eligible for survivor benefits as well as benefits as a widow or a widower. So just because you don't pay into Social Security, if I'm working and I'm contributing 6.2%, part of that understanding is that if my spouse doesn't work, they are entitled to pretty much half of your Social Security benefits as spousal benefits. And so if you have a situation with GPO where you have someone who is working, they're paying into a pension, and then when they retire, they're still, let's say they're married, they're eligible to receive spousal benefits or benefits as a widow. They're still eligible for that. Just because they don't pay into Social Security doesn't disqualify them. And so hopefully that clears that up. If you guys have any other questions, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And remember, contact your senators. Make sure that they're going to take care of this, because I don't know where we're going from here, but they have a lot of things that they need to address, and they only have 2 weeks to do it. Usually it takes 2 weeks just to bring one bill to the floor. They have multiple bills that they need to bring to the floor before December 20th. So make sure, reach out to them, contact them, let them know, hey, this is a priority. We need to get this done. Like the video if you like it, subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.